So, as we are studying Pauline epistle, we were able to finish 3 books. Galatians is about soteriology. 1st and 2nd Thessalonians about eschatology, meaning about the end times. And now we're going to study 1st and 2nd Corinthians. But this week, and for the next 2 weeks, so for 3 weeks, we're going to study 1st Corinthians. So we were going to allot 3 weeks for this book. Now, as to give you an overview, to give you details about the task, you can turn your study notes sa likod. Tingnan natin yung ano yung task na gagawin niyo. So, after 2 weeks, so you have 2 weeks to do this. So, next week is not yet. The next following week, before our last Sunday in this book, you're going to give, by your own word, provide the theme of the 1st Corinthians. Kasi ang 1st Corinthians, meron itong 16. Meron itong 16 na chapters, and I thought it would take you a while to read these books to figure out the theme of 1 Corinthians. So, meron kayong 3 linggo para gawin to. Unang task, katulad ng ginagawa natin, in your own word, maggagawa kayo ng tema o tema ng sulat ni Pablo. And the second task, maglista kayo ng 3 problema na nabanggit sa 1 Corinthians at kalakip ng problema na yon, ano yung solusyon na ibinigay ni Pablo. So, the second task that you need to do is you need to list at least 3 problems faced by Corinth Baptist Church and explain the solution Paul provided for each. So, 3 problema, 3 solusyon. So, throughout the book of 1 Corinthians, hanapin ninyo ano yung mga problemang meron ang Corinth Baptist Church at tingnan ninyo yung mga solusyonon. So, that is due 2 weeks from now. So, ayan ang 1 Corinthians. Now, as introduction, if Galatians is soteriology about salvation, if 1st and 2nd Thessalonians is eschatology, what is 1 Corinthians? Ecclesiology or about the church. So itatrato natin ang 1 Corinthians na ito ay liham ni Pablo mainly for the purpose of the church. Paano ba yung mga kalakaran? Paano ba yung mga practices? Paano natin ma-resolve ang mga problems pertaining sa church? Now itong 1 Corinthians, the Corinthian letter, meaning including 1st and 2nd Corinthians, naka-emphasize ito for the function and operations of the local church. So we can use 1st and 2nd Corinthians to check how a church should operate and function. Now itong Corinth, yung Asian Corinth is quite similar to today's major cities. Yung church, yung bayan kung saan nakatatag ang Corinth Baptist Church, ito ay isang major city 2,000 years ago. We can consider Corinth like Makati, or probably we can compare Corinth 2,000 years ago as BGC. So yung Corinth that time is not like a province place, like dun sa aming lugar, probinsya, Batangas. It's not like that. It's not like a village type. Ang Corinth during that time is a cosmopolitan, meaning pag sinabing cosmopolitan, iba-ibang tao ang nakatira doon, and well-known commercial hub. May mga trading, may mga businesses sa Corinth that time. So pwede niyong tratuhin na ang in our real life example, we can treat the Asian Corinth just like Makati or just like BGC. So, it was bustling, cosmopolitan, and well-known commercial hub 2,000 years ago during the time of Paul. Now, according sa Acts 18, dun yung makikita yung historical account of Paul's first evangelistic ministry in Corinth. Yung Corinth was established during the second missionary journey. Sa huling bahagi, in the last part of the second missionary journey, si Pablo ay pumunta sa Corinth at na-establish niya doon ang simbahan. Katulong si Priscilla and Aquila. So, yun yung history nun. You can check Acts 18 with regards sa narrative ni Luke about the establishment of the church at Corinth. Now, Yung visit ni Paul occurred during Apostles Paul's second missionary journey around AD 50. Pwede nating sabihin na ang 1 Corinthians ay epistle of sanctification. Now, this is my question. Why do you think we can say that 1 Corinthians or in 2 Corinthians are epistle of sanctification? In your own word, sa tingin ninyo, bakit kaya pwede nating sabihin ang 1 Corinthians ay isang liham upang tayo ay malinis or mas-sanctify? Do you have any idea? Why we can call ang book of 1 Corinthians as an epistle of sanctification? Do you know why? Yeah, William.
Because Paul is exhorting the Fourth Baptist Church to live separately and be morally upright.
Yeah, that's good. Because kung titingnan niyo ang 1 Corinthians, ang 1 Corinthians ay puno ng problema. Full of church problems. How to live right, how to live morally. So there are many things that's happening in this letter. And Paul dealt with all of those issues. There are many problems that exist in Corinth Baptist Church. And Paul, through this epistle, wrote the solution so that the church member could live sanctified or live holy in their lives. So we can treat the book like that. Now, bakit kaya ganon ang church sa Corinth? Now, siguro, maybe your question is, why Corinth Baptist Church is full of problem? Ano yung mga problem ng church? We can say fornication. Ang church ay puno ng mga church, hindi naman puno, pero meron silang issue about fornication. Meron silang problem about yung mga inoffer sa idol. Meron silang problem in marriage. Meron silang problem in practicing spiritual gifts, using spiritual gifts. They have problem about the doctrine of resurrection. Those are some problems that are mentioned in 1 Corinthians. And probably our question is, why they have so much problem in their church? Bakit marami silang problema? Tandaan ninyo, ang mga Corinthians, yung mga tao na nakatira sa Corinthians, yung kanilang religion at yung kanilang morality were rooted in paganism. Yung background ng mga Corinthians, the background of the Corinthians ay paganism. Merong term nung lumang panahon na ang term ay to Corinthianize. There is a famous term before na ang tawag sa term ay to Corinthianize. Yung term na to Corinthianize, it refers to engaging in prostitution alongside drunkenness. So, dahil sa immorality ng bayan, I'm talking about not the church, but the whole city of Corinth. Because of the immorality and prostitution that is happening in Corinth, may naging bansag na ang bansag ay to Corinthianize. Ano yung ibig sabihin nun? Parang ganito. Pag sinabi ko, this man went to, this person was Corinthianized. Anong ibig sabihin ko nun? Hindi ibig sabihin nagpunta siya sa Corinth. Ang ibig sabihin ko nun, this person became immoral. For example, if I say this person was Corinthianized, this is the same way of saying this person became immoral. So yung term na to Corinthianize. So yung term na to Corinthianize, naging popular siya na ang background ng term na yon ay yung kalalagayan or the condition of the whole city. Now, ano yung condition ng whole city? Yung Corinth during that time, 2,000 years ago, there was a famous goddess na ang pangalan ay Aphrodite, which is the goddess of love sa Greek. Meron siyang temple sa Corinth. The goddess Aphrodite, the goddess of love, had a temple where 1,000 prostitutes were available to serve any visiting devotee. So sa Corinth, meron doon isang templo ni Aphrodite, the goddess of love, at yung mga tao, especially yung mga lalaki, they can visit the temple and they can have physical relationship with the temple prostitutes. So imagine ninyo, so what's happening in Corinth is, for example, if you are a sailor, you are involved in trading and you're going to dock in Corinth to exchange goods and merchandise. And some men will go to the temple of Aphrodite and they will have a physical relationship with the temple workers, temple ladies. So that's the system of immorality in Corinth. Just imagine that. Na ganun yung immoralidad ng Corinth. Kaya kung mapapansin ninyo, kaya nabuo yung concept ng to Corinthianize is dahil sa immoral condition ng buong syudad. At imagine ninyo, in the midst of the immoral condition of the city, there was a church that existed in that kind of city. So, sa gitna ng pagiging masama, puno ng kalaswaan, puno ng immoralidad, ang bayan, merong isang simbahan ng umusbong doon, ang Corinth Baptist Church. Now, my question is, of course, these people got saved. But tandaan nyo, if a person got saved, their background, they will still bring their background in their Christian life. For example, if I am a drunkard before and I got saved, right now, I still have a problem, meaning I still struggle with drunkenness. So yes, I know that if I repented of that, and I will get saved, but the reality is, for example, what I mean is, if I am lazy before I got saved, do you think I would face the same problem of laziness even I'm now Christian? So most probably yes. Because your background, after your salvation, you're going to still bring those bad things about your life in your Christian life. So, the same way with Corinth Baptist Church. Yung mga members of Corinth Baptist Church, they were involved in prostitution, they were involved in wrong marriages, they were involved in fornication, and now they got saved. This Corinth Baptist Church faced the same problems. So, makikita niyo yan sa sulat ni Paul. Paul, in one scenario, Paul corrected the church because of a fornicating member. They're already part of the assembly of Corinth Baptist Church, pero meron silang kasalanang immoral pa rin. So where did that person get that idea? In his background, in his city. So ganun yung condition ng Corinth. At dito, according sa Book of Acts, Paul spent 18 months in the city in order to establish the church. And while staying for 18 months, he allowed him to map out the errors of the culture to contrast the errors with the teaching of Christ. So, he issued warnings against this false belief infiltrating the church. So, yun yung background ng 1 Corinthians. I want you to see how immoral the Corinthians are, and these immoral Corinthians got saved and they become a member of the church, and because what their former life, the habits, their former lives, they still brought that in their Christian life. Some of them face issues. Dahil sa kanilang background na immoral, dahil sa kanilang background na meron silang mga problem per se sa marriages, sa mga idol offerings, lahat ng iyon ay nadala nila sa kanilang Christian life and church life, and some cases, nagkaroon sila ng problem sa church. So yun yung background nun. That's why, when Paul heard the problems in the church, he corrected them through this episode. So yun yung pinaka-overview ng 1 Corinthians. So tandaan ninyo, yung mga taong ito na na-save at naging member ng church, meron silang mga naging problem. And yung mga problem na to, this problem is because of their background, the whole city, probably because of their former life, yung kanilang dating buhay ay naging kasalanan pa rin nila, kahit sila church member na, at doon kinorek ni Paul yung mga problem na ito. So yun yung pinaka-essence ng 1 Corinthians. Now, meron kayong tanong patungkol dito? Before we move, meron kayong tanong? So that's the introduction. Now, sino naman ang nagsulat? Tingnan niyo ang 1 Corinthians. With regards sa authorship, wala masyadong issue with regards sa authorship kasi malinaw na malinaw in 1 Corinthians 1 verse 1 and 2, Paul called to be an apostle of Jesus Christ. So, una pa lang, makikita niyo yung pangalan ni Pablo, Paul. I want to remind you na yung first century letters ay iba sa mga letters today. In the first century letters, ang unang isinusulat, the first first word na isinusulat ng first century letters, first part of the letter is the author. And then pagkatapos ng author is the recipient. Mapapansin nyo yung verse 2, ito yung recipient. In verse 1 is the author, the recipient is verse number 2. Unto the church of God, which is at Corinth. So makikita ninyo, the writer is in verse 1, verse 2 is the recipient. So verse 2 tells that this epistle is written unto the church. So, if you know that, every verse in these passages, you need to remember that it's all about the church. So, tandaan natin na yung verse 2 ng chapter 1, pinakita dito sa atin na ang recipient nito o tagatanggap ng sulat na to ay simbahan. Kaya kapag tinignan natin yung bawat verses sa buong 1 Corinthians, kailangan natin itong tratuhin sa konteksto ng simbahan. Anong ibig sabihin ko nito? We cannot get a verse from 1 Corinthians and remove the church out of it. So, for example, 1 Corinthians 13. Do you know 1 Corinthians 13? Pag-ibig, about love? Probably alam niyo nito. Pero yung 1 Corinthians 13, this is a famous verse. Probably from secular, they already know this. 1 Corinthians 13. And sometimes they use this verse outside the function of the church. Let's say, for example, ako at si Sister Amel, pwede kong sabihin, Amel, I have a charity for you based on 1 Corinthians. Wait a minute, that's not the meaning of that verse. Because sometimes, if I remove the church in the context of that verse, I wrongly interpret that verse. So nakikita nyo? Now, kaya ko nabanggit yun, yung verse 2, pinakita doon na it was written for a church in Corinth. And because it was written for the church in Corinth, we need to interpret or handle each verse based on the context of a local church. We cannot just apply the verse and say, if for example, you have love for someone. Say, I love you. And you quote 1 Corinthians 13, you can wrongly interpret that. Because 1 Corinthians 13 is written in the context of a church, especially spiritual gifts. Anong ibig sabihin ng 1 Corinthians 13? To give you a quick background, na if you're going to serve in a local church, you need to do it with charity. So that's the context that. And sometimes this chapter is being used by secular word outside the context of church, outside of serving the Lord or serving other church members. So, yun yung point natin. It's very important to remember that 1 Corinthians and all other New Testament books are written in the context of a local church. And that would help you to interpret each verse. For example, when Paul said, when Peter said, "Church, believers, you need to display mutual love." Anong ibig sabihin nun? Bilang bang Kristiyano, should we display mutual love to other believers in different denomination? No, it is in the context of a local church. When Paul said, "Greet one another," do you mean we need to greet other person? No, it's in the context of the local church. So, that's the importance of knowing the background. And here, in the 1 Corinthians, is the same thing. So, in chapter 1, verse 1 and 2, very clear that Paul wrote it. And 10 times, Paul used the pronoun I, me, and my. So, it indicates yung kanyang pagiging, siya mismo yung nagsulat nito. Additionally, he consistently used the pronoun I as the first person pronoun in every chapter of the 16th chapter of verse 16. For example, balikan nyo yung 1 Corinthians chapter 2. Tingnan nyo, chapter 2 verse 1, and I, chapter 2 verse 2, for I determine, chapter 3 verse 1, and I, so in every chapter, mapapansin nyo yung pronoun na I say, I declare, I command you. So, makikita ninyo na doon 1 Corinthians, yung nagsulat ng lahat ng bahagi nito, every part of the 1 Corinthians is written by the author indicated in chapter 1 verse 1. And lastly, in chapter 16 verse 21, with regards to authorship, chapter 16 verse 21, Paul reaffirms his authorship. Chapter 16 verse 21, the salutation of me, Paul, with my own hand. So, Paul wrote his own signature or his own salutation. Now, my question, after we study 2 Thessalonians, why did Paul wrote with some... What happened in 1 Corinthians is, Paul wrote it, Paul is the author or the writer of it, but he has an assistant. He has an assistant who wrote it literally or physically. So, for example, when Paul wrote Ephesians, he has an assistant, Tychicus. Hindi si Pablo talaga. Paul is not the literal one who hold the paper and the pen and wrote it literally. Instead, Paul was dictating. Tychicus, ito yung unang word, isulat mo. This is the first sentence that you need to write, and the assistant will write it. So in 1 Corinthians, it's the same setup. He has an assistant. And then later on, in verse 21 of chapter 16, Paul get the pen from the assistant and he wrote it by his own hand. So it's like a signature. So for example, you write a letter, let's say, Ma'am, to whom it may concern, I will not be able to attend your class today. And you print it, what are you going to do after you print it? You're going to sign it. Now, my question is, why did Paul did that? By his own hand. What's the importance of that? After studying 2 Thessalonians, what's the issue of 2 Thessalonians? Yes, Joe?
Other people were trying to tell different things.
Yeah, during the time, there was forgery ng mga letters. May mga nagsasabi, this letter is from Paul, but in reality, it's not from Paul. So, that's why Paul, in 1 Corinthians, wrote by his own hand. What happened here is Paul get the pen from the assistant and say, wait, I will write this part, the salutation. I will write it by my own hand. So that the reader, the recipient will acknowledge, oh, that's Paul hand's writing. He is really the one who wrote this. So that's the implication of that. And here, si Pablo is the one who planted the church during the second missionary journey with the help of Aquila and Priscilla. So that's the authorship. Do you have any question with regards to authorship? So, time and place written. So, itong Corinthians, if you still remember, I hope you can still recall the life of Paul. The church was established during the second missionary journey. In the latter part of the second missionary journey, na-establish ang church nung second missionary journey. But the 1 Corinthians was written during the third missionary journey. When Paul was in Ephesus, tandaan nyo, kung if you still remember the map, ito yung Macedonia, ito yung Achaia, ito yung Asia. If you still remember the map, ito yung Corinth, nasa Achaia siya. And yung Ephesus ay nasa Asia. What happened is, some church member from Corinth traveled to Ephesus where Paul was and consulted the problems. Paul, what we need to do with this problem? Paul, what we need to do with this problem? And Paul, in response, Paul wrote it from Ephesus back to Corinth. So, it was written during the third missionary journey when Paul was in Ephesus. Mapapansin nyo yan sa 1 Corinthians 16. Tingnan nyo yung 1 Corinthians 16. Verse 8. 1 Corinthians 16, verse 8. but I will tarry at Ephesus until Pentecost. So, based on verse 8, it tells us Paul was in Ephesus when he wrote 1 Corinthians. And it was during his third missionary journey. With regards sa date, we can say it was written around AD 55. AD 55, around that time. So, do you have any question with that? So, let's see the occasion. Now, when Paul was a traveling missionary who deeply involved in following up work or nurturing the church he had established. So ito yung mapapansin nyo kay Paul, si Pablo ay isang klase ng missionary na pagkatapos itayo yung simbahan, ay kanya pang tinutulungan later on. So Paul is not like a missionary that when the church is established, he abandoned it. No. We can see in the biblical pattern that even after the missionary left the church, the missionary still is teaching and correcting some issue. So that's the biblical principle. So we can say like this. If, for example, the church here in Taguig was established and Brother Bill and his family left us, our missionary still has a part, authority in correcting the issue of the church he established based on the scripture. So that's what happened in Paul. After the church in Corinth was established, you can see that the missionary who established the church still have the authority in correcting those issues, in consulting. Kaya nga, what happened is, when he was in Ephesus, nasa Ephesus siya, some leaders of Corinth Baptist Church traveled to Ephesus and consulted Apostle Paul. Paul, we have a problem with fornication. We have a problem in marriage. We have a problem in wrong doctrine of resurrection. Paul, this is our problem. What is your advice? And Paul wrote 1 Corinthians. So that's the occasion. Why Paul wrote 1 Corinthians? When some church leader from Corinth traveled to Ephesus and reported the problems of the church, Paul wrote 1 Corinthians as a response, as a solution, as a prescription about the disease. So, dito, makikita nyo, for example, in 1 Corinthians 1:11. 1 Corinthians 1:11. 1 Corinthians 1:11. For it had been declared unto me of you, my brethren, by them which are of the house of Chloe, that there are contention among you. So verse 11 tells that Paul heard the report that there is a division in the church. So ano pa? Chapter 5, verse 1. Chapter 5, verse 1. Who would like to read? 1 Corinthians 5:1. Sinong gustong magbasa? Yes, Cham. Pakibasa.
5 verse 1. It is reported commonly that there is fornication among you, and such fornication, as if not so much as named among the Gentiles, that one should have his father's wife.
So, pansin nyo, it is reported commonly. Paul heard the reports. It is reported commonly. And another thing, tingnan nyo yung chapter 7, verse 1. Now, concerning the things thereof you wrote unto me. So, the Corinth church wrote to Apostle Paul with regards sa issue. Chapter 7, verse 25. Chapter 7, verse 25. Now, concerning virgins, I have no commandments of the Lord. So, Paul was saying in verse 25, the Corinth Baptist Church wrote about the virgins or the young ladies. And Paul responds with that concern. And dun sa study notes ninyo, I put a lot of verses on how the Corinth Baptist Church asked a lot of questions about Apostle Paul. And in response, with those questions, Paul wrote 1 Corinthians. So, yan yung background, yan yung occasion ng 1 Corinthians. And another thing, if Paul had already made a brief visit after founding the church, he likely became aware of some of this issue firsthand. So, alam ni Pablo kung ano ang kalalagayan ng Corinth Baptist Church after spending 18 months doon. So, alam niya yung problema. So, yun ang pinaka-occasion ng 1 Corinthians. When the church wrote and when the church sent the leaders to Ephesus bringing the letter, bringing question to Apostle Paul, Paul corrected the issues that was reported to him as a form of a letter. And that's now we have 1 Corinthians. So, yan yung pinaka-occasion ng 1 Corinthians. Para siyang prescription sa sakit. Diba? When you go to the doctor and you have a disease, anong gagawin ng doctor? He will write a prescription. Oh, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. The same way with the disease of Corinth Baptist Church. They have spiritual diseases. And Paul, as their spiritual doctor, wrote a prescription. Oh, the division, ganito yung gagawin nyo. With regards to this problem, ito yung gagawin niyo. So that's the occasion. Now, let's see what is the purposes. Ano yung purpose kung bakit sinulat ni Paul? So tandaan nyo, iba yung occasion, iba yung purpose. In every epistle, you should know first the occasion. And after you know the occasion, you need to know the purpose. So that when we go to each verse, to each chapter, it will help you to properly interpret the verse. The problem right now in the people who handle the Word of God, they don't acknowledge and they don't know the purpose. And that's why when they go to a verse, they misinterpret the verse. So, bilang mga kabataan that hold the Bible, tandaan nyo to, you need to know the purpose of every book of the Bible. Every book of the Bible, every 66 books of the Bible. Let's say, why did Moses wrote Genesis? Why did Paul wrote Galatians? So based on the purpose, you need to align every verse to that purpose. And that would help you to properly interpret the verse. So ang point natin dito, kailangan sa bawat libro, including 1 Corinthians ng Bible, malaman natin yung dahilan. Kasi kapag alam mo yung dahilan ng libro, matutulungan ka nito na properly na maunawaan ang kahulugan ng verse. So parang ganito. Halimbawa, nagsulat ako ng sulat sa inyo at hindi nyo alam yung purpose. Pero, ang ginawa nyo lang, kinuha nyo lang yung one sentence. Properly nyo bang maunawaan yung isang sentence? Kung hindi nyo kuha lahat ng sulat, probably ang mangyayari, hindi nyo mauunawaan yung letter. Halimbawa, nagsulat ako sa inyo ng mahabang mensahe, pero ang kinuha nyo lamang ay bahagi ng sulat ko. Probably, hindi nyo mauunawaan yung pinaka-whole message. So, the same thing sa mga books of the Bible, the same way with the Pauline epistle. And every book of the Bible, purpose is very important. So that it will help us when we go to every chapter and when we go to every verse, we will go back to the purpose. Oh, that's why Paul wrote this. Oh, that's why Paul corrected them. Oh, that's why Paul mentioned this. After knowing the purpose. Now, let's see the purposes. And we will stop here. So, there are many purposes in 1 Corinthians and there are 5. Una, to identify the fundamental issues underlying the reports and inquiry. So, unang purpose kung bakit sinulat ni Paul ang 1 Corinthians, Paul listed the errors of Corinthians Baptist Church. He identified, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Paul wrote 1 Corinthians to list all the issues of Corinth Baptist Church. Sinulat ni Paul ang 1 Corinthians upang ilista yung mga kamalian ng simbahan. Pangalawa, to offer solution through doctrine and personal example. So, after Paul listed the problems, Paul gave the solution for every problem by way of teaching and by way of being an example to them. So, yun yung task ninyo. I mentioned a while ago that you have a task that's due in 2 weeks from now. You need to identify at least 3 problems that Paul mentioned here and 3 solutions that he advised to each problem. Pangatlong purpose, to provide extended teaching on related doctrine. So in 1 Corinthians as well, you can see that Paul continued teaching on some doctrine. One example is about resurrection in 1 Corinthians 15. So there are doctrinal issues in Corinth Baptist Church where they wrongly understand resurrection. And we're going to see that later on. Number 4, to give a brief defense of his apostleship. One problem that existed in Corinth Baptist Church, there are some members that don't acknowledge that Paul is an apostle. They say that Paul who visited us, he is a false apostle. And Paul heard that, and Paul defended himself. So you can see that in 1 Corinthians. So another purpose kung bakit sinulat ni Paul ang 1 Corinthians, may mga church member na nag-aakusa sa kanya na hindi ka tunay na Apostol Pablo, peke kang apostol. At nung nabalitaan ni Paul yun, dinepensahan niya yung kanyang sarili in 1 Corinthians. And last purpose is to exhort the believers to live a full and mature Christian life. So, practical exhortation in practical living. So, yun yung 1 Corinthians. Yan yung purposes ng 1 Corinthians. Meron kayong tanong? Meron kayong question? So, next week, titingnan natin, next week, we're going to spend the rest of our time in probably giving you a background for every chapter. And isang very important na gusto kong pag-usapan is chapter 7 ng 1 Corinthians. One problem of the Corinth Baptist Church is the marriage. So, of course, all of you are unmarried. Lahat kayo, bilang young people, lahat kayo ay unmarried. This is something that will benefit you. What is the advice of Paul to this church member with regards sa marriage? Paano ba yung marriage? Ano ba yung purpose ng marriage? And we're going to see that probably next week. So, yan yung 1 Corinthians. At yan yung makita natin. So, do you have any question? Any question? So, malinaw yung task. So, you have, yung task ninyo, yung assignment ninyo, is not yet due next week. You have 2 weeks to do that. Next week is not yet, but the following week, you need to write in a paper your own theme. You don't need to explain the theme in your paper, but I will ask you to stand up and come up, tell your team and why you come up with that. But the thing that you need to list is the 3 problems and the 3 solutions. So, malinaw? So, any question? So, kung wala na, William, can you pray?
Dear Lord, we're thankful that we're able to gather here in your name. We thank you that Jesus is in our midst and that we're learning about his word. And I ask that you would bless this study on the book of 1 Corinthians. Thank you for opening our eyes to the things in your word. And I ask that you bless the services today. And I ask that you just bless us today in Jesus' name.
Thank you.